we don't always give God credit for how good he is and what he takes you from and how you can be here one year and here the next. So what you see in front of you, I didn't come here to preach to you all, but what you see in front of you is somebody who's under construction. And I look at all you guys, and we're our own monuments. We all have that right to greatness. We all are here for a divine purpose. We are all here on purpose. You're in that seat you are for a reason. And I didn't get that. And even with all that I've done, I still sat there and doubted myself. But right in that moment, because of the relationship I have with God, I was reassured that I could do this, that I could be here, that I can be in front of you all and share. And one thing about me is I'm extremely vulnerable. That's my strength. That's what got me wherever I am right now. I'm extremely vulnerable. I'm able to give myself shame and all. I tell you I messed up yesterday, but I would rather you see me trying to get it right than to fake like it's all good. So I get started. And I was nervous, so I brought my secret weapon. It's my mom right here. Yeah, that's my rock right there. We went through it at first, but she has never left me. She taught me a lot about life. When I talk about a good woman, it's because I saw it in her. When I talk about the strength of a woman and, actually people loving you. I remember there was one time where she had to bail me out, right? So after she bailed me out, I went missing for like a month and a half. And she knocked on my boy's door at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how she knew where I was because, like I said, I didn't have a home, so I was staying at different places almost every night. I was at my boy Corey's house in Camelot, and she came knock on the door at 7 in the morning. And the first thing she said was, "Don't you ever run from me." She said, "You don't never have to hide from me. I don't care what you do, where you've been. Don't you ever run from me. I love you." And that was incredible for me, So at this REDEFINE Conference, we've talked about a lot of things. We've had some amazing speakers come up and share and give to you all. A lot of the stuff that we've all accomplished or, the speakers have accomplished has come from having a great sense of faith. So I kind of want to start there. And I say our faith is in God. He's our rock. That's our fortress. That's our solitude. That's where, we get the audacity to believe or even have hope. All right? And then once we establish that faith, then, we have beliefs. And our beliefs are what we come to know through our experiences in faith, right? So we believe God, Jesus saved us, But then, like me, when you fall, when you get kicked out and you go without and you experience, but you don't. Yeah, I was in jail, but I got bailed out. But I was with this crew of guys, right? It was like 15 of us. We called ourselves the Young Assassins, right? But we wasn't assassinating nothing. I'm just telling y'all that. We just thought we was tough, you know what I mean? Out of 15, 10 of us are in jail for 10 plus years to this day. 10 of them are in jail for 10 plus years. And, you have that could have been me thought. Like, that could have been me. Legitimately, that could have been me. But it wasn't. And I started believing it wasn't me because I was still here for a reason. So, my beliefs came through my experiences in faith, right? And then I started to develop an identity. And that's the marker of this conference, redefining our identity. That's what I believe from the first time it was told to me. Because that's what I've constantly been doing my whole life, redefining my identity, becoming more, becoming better, learning, all right? And I asked the question, what do you believe about you? And I asked that because when I stood there and I was in fear almost, I said, will they see who I was? Will they see my mistakes? Will they see my transgressions? Will they see all the times I failed and let my parents down and let my families down? And then I said, Robert, do you believe you're that person? No. So even if you all saw all of that, I know who I am today. Even if you all saw every mistake, every failure, I know who I am today. Because I believe I'm strong. I believe I'm a conqueror. I believe that nothing can stop me. I believe that I'm here for a reason. That's what I believe about me. So even if you say, you flunked out of college, man, and I did it twice. You flunked out of college twice. What gives you the audacity to believe you're smart enough to write a book? I don't know, but I did it. And the second one was a bestseller. And it's still a top 40 bestseller a year later. Because I believe that about myself. I believe I'm here for a reason. I believe I'm supposed to be here. I believe that there's something in me that's special, and I get the opportunity to kind of share that with you all today. But once you establish an identity, the main thing about an identity, because you realize who you are, now you know what to do. Our identity, you want to change character, change the identity. All right? When you get a man believing certain things about himself, you don't necessarily have to force him to do anything. He'll do things out of who he believes he is. Right? So if you get a man to start thinking he's strong, you won't have to talk him in to carrying things. He believes he's strong. So that's an opportunity for him to show his strength. If you get a man believing he's smart, you don't have to talk him in to doing intelligent things because he knows he's smart. He takes the initiative to do so. What I was doing when I was growing up is I didn't believe much about myself. And when you don't believe much about yourself, you don't do much with yourself. So what I would do was just, all right, y'all smoking? I don't really smoke, so I drink. You know what I mean? But I'm going to hang out. I don't really got much to do. I don't believe I am much, so I don't have much to do. I could just kick it. We could chill. We could do whatever we want to do. But when I started figuring out that I had a purpose, when I started figuring I was here for a reason, then things started to change. And Pastor Locke, last night, he said, struggle is a sign that you have a choice. He said that, all struggle is not bad. And I really connected with that because it wasn't until I found out that I was here for a reason that I decided I had choices. But that's when I really, got attacked. So I learned this quote. It says, "You are judged by your actions, not your intentions." And that really, really stood out to me on my journey because I always intended to do good. Always. I always intended to do good. But rarely did I do it. But I wanted credit for the almost. I wanted you to be like, he had a good heart, so let's just say that he would have did it. I wanted people to make excuses for me. But I realized that, you are judged by your actions. It doesn't matter what I intend to do if that's not what I actually do. It doesn't matter that I wanted to do blah, 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 but if I did nothing, I don't get credit for the almost. And we don't get credit for the almost. And a lot of times we want that, but we don't get that. So I talk a lot about relationships. I talk a lot about love because I believe that relationships are everywhere. You have business, you have romantic, you have platonic, you have your relationship with yourself, right? And that's the first relationship to get right. We all understand that. That's the first relationship to get right, the one with yourself. That's why I asked the question, what do you believe about you? Because when you're able to answer that question clearly, a lot of things start to change. So my belief is that once our faith in God increases, our relationships with self and people improve. All right? But I know it's a popular song out right now. It's by Meek Mill. I like it personally. But it's Levels, right? I don't know if you guys heard it, but it's Levels. right? And it's levels to this faith stuff, all right? It's levels to it, okay? And I know it's levels to it because I went through the levels. So, first level, I call it fool's faith, right? I call it fool's faith. So, when I was in my time of up and downs, I lived for me, only me. I didn't care about you. I didn't care what you thought. I didn't care what you were doing. I didn't care how you felt. I lived for me. I was the only person I cared about, right? It was that selfishness that Bishop McBath was talking about on Wednesday night. That is an extreme problem with our generation. We do us. I do me, you do you. You know, we do us. That's what we're about. I believed I was an island. You know, this is my world. There's nothing but water around me. I'm an island. You can't touch me. That's what I believe. But it wasn't until you believe you're an island long enough and that you can do everything on your own that you start to face some really harsh realities. And they say what wisdom cannot teach, rock bottom will. And I felt that bottom very hard. All right? The tricky thing about an island is when you believe you're an island only has limited resources. An island only has limited resources. The island can only truly, really sustain itself when it's connected to a mainland. By ship, by plane. It only has so many natural resources on that island. It has to get something from the mainland. It has to. God is the mainland. We can chill here. We can get the sunsets. We can get the beautiful, water and all that stuff. But we can't flourish until we get what the mainland has. Because at one point, if you've seen old maps, everything was connected. Right? And tectonic plates happening and stuff. There was a shift, right? So in me believing I was an island, I was malnourished. I believed, everything that glittered wasn't gold. I was a bandwagon hopper. So if it was opportunity over here, I was going to go get it regardless. You know what I mean? If it was a chance to make a nickel over here, I was going to go get it because I didn't really have a plan. I just was looking out for me. You know what I mean? So, when you're only looking out for you and you're not connected to anything, you do desperate things. So I was poor with my pride. That's what I was so filled with pride that I was poor in the financial sense and the spiritual sense. All right? So what I tried to develop was a new level of faith. And that level was fake faith. So I went from fool's faith to fake faith, You kind of believe, I knew all the right things to say, but I was without progress because I lacked the discipline to do. I could say it right. You know what I mean? I could word it right, like, hey, I believe God's going to work it out for me. You know what I mean? And then I was like, all right, God. I believed that believing was all there is to it. And the Bible says faith without works is dead. I had no work ethic. I didn't put nothing into it. You know what I mean? I didn't put nothing into relationships. I didn't put nothing into life. I just thought that maybe if I fake had faith and I said, hey, God, they told me I'm supposed to say, God, I believe you can do it. He was supposed to do it. I didn't put any work in. I didn't establish a rapport relationship. I lacked the discipline to do. And when you lack the discipline to do, you rarely ever get anything done. You rarely ever complete. You rarely ever finish anything. And you don't make any progress because you can say whatever you want. But like I said, actions over intentions. So I didn't do. So after dealing with the frustration of that, you're going through life, you're living. I was like, all right, it's time for a new level of faith, because the fool's faith ain't work, It was faith, right? The fake faith was so-so. But then I graduated to the fun but convenient faith. That's the, God, I believe in you when you bless me the way I want to be blessed. That's where I was. It was like, God, I know you got me as long as you're getting me the way I want to be, God. You know what I mean? Like, I believe. But if you don't give me that job, or if you don't give me this amount of money, if you don't give me this stuff I want, I'm going to do it on my own. So that's the fun, convenient faith. It's like, as long as you're blessing me the way I want to be blessed, I'm going to ride with you, God. You know what I mean? As long as you're making this relationship happen the way I want, you know what I mean? As long as you're making things shape up the way my vision, imagine them shaping up, then I believe I got that faith. You know what I mean? I'm going to ride for you, God. Never quite panned out. Never. It never quite panned out. I got cheated on. I did more lying. I did more manipulating. I did less giving. It was like, I'm going to take a step forward, but if it doesn't look right, I'm going to just go back to the way I used to be. Because it just takes too much to walk down these steps and drown. Or to walk down these steps and fall. Like I said, I was poor in my pride, but I felt like at least I was still standing up. At least I was still standing, right? At least I could walk, you know what I mean? I'm not getting anywhere, but at least I'm still halfway standing. I had some sense of pride and dignity. But I still was lacking. Pastor Otis talked about being thirsty, but being without last night. And I was empty. A lot of me was empty, So it was time to go to a new level. It was time to develop more. It was time to love better, live better. I had a son now. My son's 5 now. But now I was a father. Now I had seen my mom cry enough. You know what I mean? Now I had stopped trying to hide stuff from my family. Now I had stopped trying to manipulate these girls and, charm them in a way to where they was feeling me, but they never knew the real me. You know what I mean? I can trick you. I can look like a knight in shining armor, but I just make you stay far enough to where you couldn't see that I was really tinfoil. You know what I mean? I could shine. I knew how to shine. I was doing it. Poor. We'd go to the same club. We'd party together, but I would go sleep in the back of my car, but I would make you think I had it all. I knew how to talk it. You know what I mean? I knew how to talk it. I knew how to look like it, but I did not have enough substance in me to actually be it. It's like when an actor plays, a superhero, real strong, but that's all cameras and effects. It's like when, people get drunk and they get that false courage, they get real strong. I depended on all that other stuff to be. It was a facade. So I wanted to step up to the next level. I was like, all right, I was a fool, cool. Then I was fake, cool. Then I was 1 foot in, halfway convenient, cool. I had that fun, convenient faith. But I knew that I needed something for real. And I knew that I wanted more. So I tried to get to the for real, the fortune faith. You get some fortune, right? And remember how I told you earlier, like I was scared to come down here. I was like, they're going to see how short I am, all this other stuff. Nah, I'm playing. But I was scared to come down here. I didn't know what was down here. I was comfortable with my misery. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we would rather be for sure that we're miserable than do whatever we have to do to actually find happiness, to do whatever we have to do to actually step up. We would rather be certain that we're a failure than to get up, sacrifice, and work for success. It's easy to lay down. It's easy to lay down. It's rough when you got to stand up and walk it like you talk it. You know what I mean? It's rough when you got to actually go fight for something. It's rough. Because what you do is, anytime you take a position, there comes the opposition. So anytime you stand firm in something, it's going to be something that comes to try to push you off it. It's just the way things work, you know? So I was in boot camp, and I was reading, and, you know, I grew up in church, you know, but I was just... something ain't click for me. You know what I mean? I had faith. I believed. It was in me. But, you know, I'm a why person. And I just didn't feel like the older generation answered enough of my whys. I saw the show, you know. I saw you praising. I saw you dancing. I saw you running. I saw all of that, you know. But to me, it was just fluffer. It was filler. I didn't connect with it per se. You know, that's my truth. I'm not saying, you know, is anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, talk to me. You know what I mean? I'm 13. I want to look at pornography a lot. Stop telling me that lust is bad and tell me why. All right? Stop telling me I shouldn't do it and tell me what I should be doing. Okay? Because you can tell me it's not for me and it's bad, but then I'm just stuck here. Like, what do I do? So I'm going to just go back to the influences that, you know, you didn't tell me where to go. You just told me what not to do. You know what I mean? So I needed guidance more than I needed reformation. You know what I mean? I needed guidance more than I needed to be judged. Give me something to go. Give me some direction. So when you want, you know, your for real faith people, those are your workers. Those are your tithers. Those are your givers. Those are your sacrificers. Those are the people who have the audacity to believe that God is going to do all that he said he would do. You know, so it was like, just I referenced Pastor Locke earlier. He touched me, but he said all struggle is not bad, and we agreed on that. But it had to click like, man, I'm going through it. Like, I'm really going through it. I'm experiencing life. It's hitting me. It's hurting. You know, I'm really going through it. And then something clicked and it was like, Rob, if he's taking you through it, that should tell you he has plans for you. If he's taking you through something, that means he's trying to get you somewhere. And then I started feeling like, all right, I am here for a purpose. I am here for a reason. So I read verses like Jeremiah 29:11. I read James 1, verse 2 through 8. I read Proverbs 16, 17, 18. And then I read, 2 Timothy 1 through 7. And these are all popular verses. But I started connecting with them in a way that I had not connected with them before. What I did was I left here. I was in boot camp in Chicago. In my mind, I was in the wilderness, right? And in the wilderness, even if you got a pinch of faith, you're going to hold on to it. Because even if I didn't agree with them running around or whatever, I knew something made them feel a certain way. And when I'm scared, I need a little teeny bit of familiarity to get me through this time. Right? So, for real faith, fortune faith, that's the audacity to believe that God is going to do all that he said he would do. And in order for you to really get an idea of what he said he would do for you, you got to get in the Word. Right? And that was for me. All right. I'm tired of being this player. I'm tired of manipulating people to get what I want. Because when I manipulate them to get it, it's never what I thought it would be. Right? when I trick you into giving me something, I can't enjoy it as much because I know you didn't give it to me genuinely. So out of my own insecurity, I can't appreciate something that I didn't allow to be special. I didn't allow it to be special. You know what I mean? That's why I cannot appreciate it the way I was. I couldn't, the relationship was cool. Like, you loved me, but you loved what I showed you. And I didn't allow you to love more of me because I was scared. When I believe men in my generation, we have two words, vulnerability and weak, right? And we assume that they're synonymous. We assume they mean the same thing. You know what I mean? But it wasn't until I had to come down here and show you guys how short I am that I realized vulnerability is strength. I asked you, what do you believe about you earlier? And I realized vulnerability is strength. It's like, I'm going to show you my shame. I'm going to show you everything is wrong with me. I'm going to show you my faults, my mistakes, all of that. And I'm going to still have the audacity to get up and go chase everything God told me was for me. I'm going to still do it. I'm going to show you everything that's wrong about me. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to tell you I was homeless. I'm going to tell you I went to jail. I'm going to tell you I flunked out of college twice. I'm going to tell you I failed. I'm going to tell you all that stuff. And then you're going to see my book, #1 on Amazon. Again. Then you're going to see me organize 2,000 people and give out $10,000 to young men. Again. You're going to see my stuff blow up on social networks. You're going to see me go speak in front of crowds. You're going to see me do all this stuff. And then you're going to have to stop and think like, how? Because I had the fool's faith. I had the fake faith. I had the fun and convenient faith. But then I got something that was for real. And when you get something that's for real, you can't help but walk in it. In every aspect of your life. You can't help but walk in it. You can't help but be it. It does not matter how many times I mess up. We already understand that we're judged by our actions, not our intentions. But that doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. That doesn't mean we're always going to get it right. But I define success for people as success is making sure your lows consistently get higher. That is what being successful is. Making sure your lows consistently get higher. So even in my mistakes, I'm not falling back to rock bottom because I told you what wisdom cannot teach, rock bottom can. So even in my mistakes, I'm not falling to rock bottom. I built a foundation now. You get what I'm saying? So I ain't falling to the ground no more. I am falling, and we will continue to fall. We will continue to stumble. That's just in us. You know what I mean? That's just in us. But every time I fall to a low, it's a little higher than the last one. It's a little higher than the last one. And that's where I am in life. And, a lot of people challenge you and say, you're single. My book is called For Single People Who Still Understand the Value of Relationships. And the misconception is that single people can't talk about relationships because we're not in one. So that would be the equivalent of somebody writing a book on marriage and we respect it and then they get divorced and then what we do, throw the book away? Do we throw the book away? No. See, what we have is experience. Experience is, in my field, the #1 qualifier. Even when you can graduate with a PhD tomorrow, right? And you go to this job, they want to know about your experience. They want to know what you've been through. They want to know where you studied, where you interned, where you work. You got to have the experience, right? And, and our experience tailors our perspective. So even when people are like, you're not in a relationship, you can't talk about it. I'm like, look, I done got played like 8 times over there. I got cheated on. I done did my cheating like 22 times over there, all right? I done did my lying. I done did my trying to be straight, but when it doesn't work out the way I want, I manipulated. I done went through all these phases of relationships. I done felt that pain, but I'm not in a relationship. And about 70% of the world is single. But that doesn't mean we don't understand the value of healthy relationships. That don't mean that we can't try to relate. That doesn't mean that we don't have a unique perspective that maybe can help us. So I started developing that. I had the audacity to believe that. And this scripture really helped me. And I'm not big on, like I said, I can't remember 1,000 verses, you know what I mean? But I got faith, But it's 1 Timothy 4:12, and it says, don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. Instead, set an example for believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. Don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. Instead, set an example for believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. So regardless of what you see, I know who I am. I know how I'm walking. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm giving. I know what I'm breathing out into people, to this atmosphere, to this world, right? So regardless of my youth, yes, I'm 25 years young. But regardless of that, it's not about the age. It's about when you've been called, And I would struggle with my mom a lot, like, what if they don't believe me? All you can do is be you. You know what I mean? All you can do is share what God gave to you. And if people relate, they relate. But I'm not here to save everybody. It was only one Savior. I'm here to guide my sheep. I'm this shepherd. I'm here to guide them, and I use sheep very loosely. But I'm here to guide my people. Pastor Otis, Pastor Manning, they're here to guide their people. We all have a different delivery. We all have a different same message, but we have a different perspective, right? And we're all here to give that, and I had to gain confidence in that. And I used to wonder, like, all right, God, I got this for real faith now. Like, I'm believing. I'm sacrificing. I'm giving. I'm doing what I believe I'm supposed to. I give you a little example. I was 2 days before my 25th birthday, I got this idea about the Thousand Kings Walk, which I did on June 1st. It was a great success, but I got this idea, that I would organize thousands of people to come to Mount Trashmore. Mount Trashmore, a little history, it was once a dump. The mountain that people see today is something that they built. So essentially it's a monument, but it was trash before. And now it's a mountain. You know what I mean? So I was essentially, even though I was God's son and I was protected, I still saw myself as trash. But when I started developing this faith, I became my own monument. You know what I mean? My mom always referred to me as a mansion under construction. So I became that. I just didn't have the fancy door yet, but, we were putting it in. We were putting it on. So God said, give away $10,000 in scholarships. I was like, I don't have $10,000 in the bank. Nowhere near it. Tuition was due. My son had daycare. My car needed brand new tires. I'm sorry, God. You're just going to have to chill out, all right? We can get that. I told you, I'll be very vulnerable. You're just going to have to chill out, God. It sound good, but I ain't got it. You know what I mean? I'm barely tithing. It sound good, but I just ain't got it. He said give away $10,000. And that's when I talk about having for real faith. So what I did was I went into motion. I set up a plan. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to start. You get a logo, and then you get a little halfway website. You're just trying to put stuff in motion. People aren't really biting because they think it's just an idea, but then you start putting stuff in motion. And then I look back on May 1st, of this year, and we only had $232 to this $10,000 we're supposed to give out on June 1st. On May 1st, we had $232. Now, that's not counting the fees to reserve the mountain, the porta potties, the event permits, nothing. None of that. But I kept going. I did over 50 speaking engagements. I went to schools, jails, prisons, churches. I went a little bit of everywhere. Pop up at radio stations. Like people heard promos for the walk. I'm like, y'all don't even know what I went through to get that. You know what I mean? But I went through all this stuff to do it because I was following this vision that God gave me. I was trying to walk in this faith because he told me, Robert, if you handle this assignment, if you don't quit, because I wanted to quit plenty of times. Mind you, I had to raise $10,000, but bills ain't stopped coming. Daycare ain't stopped being due. This is wear and tear. I put 40,000 miles on my car alone this year. I told you I needed new tires when it started. So I just keep going. I struggle. And then, like I said, $232, May 1st. We raised $13,000 before June 1st. I told y'all earlier, I ain't supposed to be here. Somebody like me, the stuff I've been through, the stuff I've done, the stuff I've seen, I ain't supposed to be here in front of you in this great church. I wasn't supposed to be able to give out $10,000 in scholarships. I needed a scholarship. I needed it. But we raised $13,000. We were able to cover paying for the mountain, paying for the porta potties, paying for the permits, and still give it away to 10 deserving young people. And we did this all through social networking. I speak. This homeless inmate, college dropout twice, gets to speak to over 140,000 people every time I tweet or post something on Instagram. Me. Somebody like me gets to talk to 140,000 people every time I post something. In a minute, it's communicated to them. And that's for real faith. That's understanding that even when you're going through, like I said, if he's taking you through, at least he has somewhere for you. That lets you know he has somewhere for you if he's taking you through. And it's about trusting or believing enough to wake up and put one foot in front of the other. But it starts with that relationship with yourself. It starts with what you believe about yourself. And Pastor Locke was talking about the flesh being weak. And so my flesh was weak, and my spirit was kind of willing. But I believe strength is developed through experience. And though I wasn't strong enough to be disciplined, I kept putting one foot in front of the other. And stuff started happening. So even when quitting was a thought in my mind, God never allowed it to be an option in my life. Even when I thought about it, even when I was like, you know what, man, I ain't got it, I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna just go get a job, get back in the Navy, because life was pretty good. I made E5 in the Navy in 2.5 years. It was easy, life was easy. And I just kept feeling like it was more for me. And that's what, you have to have the right relationships in your life, the right people who can kind of see stuff when it isn't clear. So I was going to my mom, like, look, I'm going to get out. I don't have no job. Now, granted, I had just been given a great job in Suitland, Maryland. I was going to be working at the Office of Naval Intelligence. Like I said, I was E5. I was going to have to work 4 days a week. It was going to be cake. But I'm like, I got more to do. I had that feeling from that relationship. We got to have more to do, you know. So I had to get out. And at this time, my following was maybe 5,000 people, you know, maybe. And this was just last year. So y'all know this is not something that just happened 10 years ago. I'm only 25. This is just last year, all right? But when you decide to be faithful, you get some for real faith, stuff starts happening. The right people start coming around. The right opportunities come around. When you're disciplined and you're committed, you know, to making God's will for you come true, stuff starts shaping up. It legitimately starts shaping up, but it comes from having the right relationship. She told me to go for it. My friends told me to go for it. The people, you know, I was no longer an island at this point. I had connected to the mainland. And though I stood out, I was still connected to them in a way to where they spoke life into me and they encouraged me, you know. But had I still been the dog and the liar and the person I was, they'd be like, yo, you stupid. Don't do it. You know what I mean? But it comes from people believing in you. And like I said, when we raised $13,000 on social network, it was people who never met me donating to a cause to give to complete strangers. You know, and with this whole REDEFINE Conference, we're redefining the way we show our light. All right, we're redefining the way we go out. I was talking to Jafai last night, and we were saying, like, you know, sometimes as Christians, we kind of want to separate ourselves from the fight. You know, we're like, I'm good, I'm holy, I'm righteous here. Right? I'm strong here. But the fight is going on over there. And if I can't walk over here and still be that light and still shine while the fight is going on, then I'm not real. The faith not in me. You know, but this generation, we can't just sit in here and be good. We can't just sit in here and be strong. We have to go to the fight and still shine. That doesn't say go to the fight and judge you. That doesn't say go to the fight and make people feel less than. We have to go to the fight and shine. We got to redefine the way we love, the way we talk, the way we communicate. We got to redefine the way we give. We got to redefine the way we show ourselves. It's the only way we're going to win. Because the victory was promised, but we still got to go play the game. It was promised, but we still got to go out there and get it. So you're here for a reason. Because I could have just stayed asleep in the back of my car. I could have just sat in that jail, or I could have did something else to get put back in that jail. I could have made a lot of decisions. But I thank God that I developed some for real faith. I thank God that, you know, the way things happen, it's just beautifully. But I really want you guys to leave understanding that everyone in here, every single person, every person that attends this conference, whether day or night, is one choice away from a completely different life. I need you all to understand that we are one choice away from a completely different life. And if we don't redefine the way we're living, the way we're relating, the way we're loving, the way we're giving, the way we're talking, the way we walk, and the way we're communicating, we're going to be stuck. The world ain't getting no nicer. But guess what? We can get stronger. And we'll need to be removed from the equation. We need to become the solution. It's not just about being removed from the equation. We have to become the solution. Martin Luther King marched 60 years ago. We need some new leaders in those books. We need some new kings, some new queens. We need new history, and we have the opportunity to become that. And we're a choice away from that. Like I told y'all, it was levels to it. And I developed those levels through my faith. I just had to walk. I had to fall. I had to fail. I had to come up. I had to go through all of that to be what you see. And I'll go over the points just so you guys don't forget those levels of faith. And I'll also repeat those scriptures that help me. Maybe they'll help you. But we have fool's faith. That's when I was living for me. I was an island with limited resources. I still needed to connect to the mainland to get some more stuff. You know, I believed that everything that glitter was gold. I told you guys I was poor with my pride. I was, you know, the Bible says pride comes before a great fall, and I guarantee you I fell over and over and over and over again. Then I had my fake faith. I tried to step it up a little bit. So I was like, you know, I'm going to say it right, but I'm going to kind of sort of do it right, you know, when it's convenient. You know, I'm going to say it right. Hey, God, you got me. You know, I believed that believing was all there to do without working. That's false. Faith without works is dead. Then I had the fun, convenient faith, and that's that, God, I believe in you when you bless me the way I want to be blessed. That's that, God, I know you got me. Only if I like the way you got me. You know? But then I got my for real faith, and I'll repeat these scriptures for you guys. They help me. They are popular, but these are ones that, you know, you can throw 1,000 scriptures at me, but until I walk a certain way or live a certain way or experience a certain thing, I'm not going to connect with it. I believe that we all have to get our scriptures for our life. You know what I mean? We got to get it. I can throw these at you, and you just may not have the experience to connect with the message, you know? But these are the ones that helped me. Jeremiah 29:11, that reminded me that I had purpose and that he was still working with me. James 1:2-8, that helped me. 8 ends with saying a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So that decided me that, when I heard that, I said, you need to choose. If you're unstable, then your son going to be unstable. If you're unstable, then anything, your family, you know, nothing is going to be stable. So you got to get it right. You know, and it talks about let you know, faith have its. Basically, it says, like I said, I ain't great with scripture. Y'all don't judge me. But it says, let faith have its work. So, you know, perseverance, you develop patience. And when you develop, you know, patience, you're lacking nothing. I may have quoted that wrong. So just write it down. All right, I told you I'm vulnerable. So just write it down. All right, that's James 1:2-8. You can tweet me and tell me I got it wrong. It's okay. I'm not going to retweet you, but I'm going to say thank you. All right, then I have Proverbs 16:17-18, and I had 2 Timothy chapter 1:7. All right, and, you know, just so you guys know, we are all here for a purpose. I know I'm standing up here, but there's something that I can learn from you, just as I hope that you learn something from me. You know, I'm giving, but at the best, I'm a servant. People may see thousands of followers and all of that, but at best, I'm a servant. And I'm more concerned with the messenger than I am with me as the messenger. I'm more concerned with the message than I am with me as the messenger. All right? There's something that we all have to give, and I believe that it's on us to go to the fight and shine. You know what I mean? It's on us to go and get it, because if we wait for them to come through those doors, we'll be waiting forever. You know what I mean? But our kids are out there. My son is out there. When you have kids, your kids are going to be out there. You know what I mean? And we need to have a presence out there. You need to be the presence out there, because how we walk, the way we live, and that scripture says, instead set an example for believers in speech and conduct and love and faith and in purity. That's how we develop better relationships. That's how we talk and communicate, and that's how we grow. But more importantly, that's how we redefine ourselves, our community, and our generation. All right? Thank y'all.